Don't show my feet. Hello! I'm back! I've been away for a while for reasons, but that doesn't matter. I come back with vim and vigor and fire, and also having watched gameplay of Resident Evil 8, which for me was specifically catered, I feel. It also made me realize something. Vampires, you know, they're legendary creatures. They're dangerous, they're mysterious, they're cool. And they're associated with an animal that is none of those things, which I have a problem with. As a character writer, and as like someone who makes monsters for things, it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's not clicking. Bats deserve better, and I will find a better creature for bats to be associated with. My word will be gospel. I will not take any criticism. I am sick and tired of the slander that bats get. They are cute, they are small and fluffy. You can hold most of them in your hands or in one hand, and even the biggest one. The flying fox, its actual body is about the size of your aunt's, like, slightly overweight chihuahua. It's just the wings. And you know, like, oh, they're excellent flyers and they use, like, sonar to, like, make sure that they don't bump into each other. That's a lie. They bump into each other all the time. They're not good at flying. They can. They're just not that good at it. But they are not evil. And vampires are. Which makes them bad to cross. Before anyone gets up my ass about rewriting vampires and what they're associated with, I know the lore, okay? I get it. There was this guy and he used bats to scare the shit out of his enemies in a war some long ass time ago. It's funny lore. You know, funny man, haha, and now they're like, ooh, vampires in Transylvania and bats. But that's old news. We can do better. Time has progressed. We can see vampires now for what they should be, not what they were. I'm just tired of it. I like bats, if you can't tell. I think they're great. We live with them. They eat all the nasty bugs that give me horrible skin infections because my body's never worked right a day in its entire life, but today I will be changing the narrative. Bats will no longer be associated with evil. They will only be associated with good and with prosperity.
And hockey. Austin used to have a hockey team.
Okay, yeah, and hockey. Why not? Vampires are just theater kids with power. They're 10% mythical creature, very scary, very like, ooh, and 90% goth kids who got lucky and just became like mini deities in and of themselves. In every representation of vampires, they are just dramatic. Castlevania. Have you seen the vampires in Castlevania? Look me in my eyes and tell me I'm wrong. Like I was saying before, Resident Evil 8, Lady Dimitrescu and her 3 daughters. Tell me that that's not just all like theater and like stage play. Like, you're all vampires are dramatic, so we need something to match that. But they're not just dramatic, because they're not a monolith. There are other things that need to be taken into account when looking for the perfect candidate for a vampire's transformation. I compiled a list previously of popular vampires in media. We have Lady Dimitrescu and her daughters, I guess. The Castlevania series. We have the vampires in The Witcher. I'm forgetting the name of the anime. But with the blonde one with the green eyes, he's a vampire. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Y'all know what I'm talking about from written and from storytelling, because vampires started out as a story to scare the shit out of young women to not go off with charming strangers. You know, Strahd from the Curse of Strahd campaign in D&D. I am aware of how painfully dorky that makes me sound. And, you know, Dracula, the classic.
What about Twilight?
We can add Twilight, but I hate them. Taken all these vampires, and I've looked them over, I've combed through them, I've boiled them down, and I've found the ingredients that make them up. Mystery, predatory nature, they are reclusive, lethal, dramatic, and most importantly, alluring. In every vampire thing, people are drawn to them. All of these things into consideration are very important. But there is also a question. If a vampire is so powerful just on their own, then why transform into anything else? It's just a get out of jail free card. Vampires, while usually portrayed as immortal, can take substantial physical harm. And pain hurts, and makes you tired, and makes you bad at being a super lethal creature. So, how do you avoid that? Poof! Transform into something that can get away really quickly, undetected. You need something that is an escape route. You know, they sacrifice their overwhelming power and all of that fun stuff just so that they can get the fuck out of a situation that is just bad for them. All of the thematic elements, and then we also have the practical element. And so this brings us to the contenders. First up, we have large mammals. Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my! And also wolves. But wolves are kinda already their own thing. Werewolf gang for life, by the way. I don't know if this is still a thing that happens on the playground. Big mammals. You know, the big cats. You know, you could even say like deer or stags or something, because they can hurt you. The issue with these guys is that they don't fit. They are big. Big mammals. If a vampire transforms into a bear, you know, that's not really a stealthy means of escape, and you're a pretty big fucking target. These animals are already very physically strong on their own, so it also doesn't fit with the, story means of, like, you sacrifice your strength in order to get away. You can't just have them go berserk and turn into a bear. That's not how this fucking works. There has to be a give and take. Any OC maker in their right mind knows this. OP characters make everything not fun for everyone else. All of the large mammals are just off the menu. Next up to the podium, reptiles and amphibians. I thought, it would be interesting if like a snake or, like a poison dart frog or something like that, because there are some that are very cool looking. And there are some that are very venomous and poisonous, so, the lethality is there. But then I remembered that, a lot of places don't just have exotic snakes around, so again, not the best at blending in with the environment. But also, these guys, reptiles and amphibians, are cold-blooded, which is fine if you're alive and can access and can be out in the sun, but is very bad if you are dead and cannot be in the sun. These guys would, at best, be sluggish as shit and unable to do anything during transformation. Reptiles and amphibians have to go. We're getting closer. Crows and vultures, as well as condors and ravens. Thematically, yes, very good, very cool. They can fly, they can get away pretty quickly. But I don't know if anyone's ever interacted with crows or vultures. I haven't interacted with a condor, but I have interacted with a raven, and at least 3 out of 4 of these fuckers scream all the time. They just go, ah, ah, all the time, for no reason, really. So they're not exactly stealthy. Also, not to mention that condors are huge. The birds are axed. So I've pretty much eliminated all of the, common ones. But I have a radical proposal. I have thought about it a lot, and I know it's going to be controversial. Bugs. There's so many of them out there, and so many of them are scary, and also so many of them are cool as hell. Why has no one thought of this before? Come on! There are a lot of these guys, but these outnumber these and us. Entomologist? Entomologist. If there are any entomologists in the chat, y'all know that saying like, oh, let's just count the bugs. That is a task that would drive anyone to insanity because there are so many of them. So I am going to do massive cuts across the board. Any that are strictly herbivorous, any that are too colorful or loud, so like rhino beetles, like
June bugs,
cicadas, and any bug that doesn't have any means of like real self-defense, like combat. Out of this, I did find the final contender, and it is a good one. But before I bring up the final candidate, I am going to tell y'all my personal runner-ups. Hyenas. They're just so weird. They're just funny, strange, little, like, dog-adjacent creatures, and also their social hierarchy fascinates me. They are absolutely girl boss in the best way possible. The fact that the males have to show their dick, and then the female shows her bigger dick. Anyways, I'm impressed that Furry Art hasn't taken advantage of this. Like,
I'm sure that they have.
No, I've looked. I was curious. Hyenas I thought would be funny. But then I thought about it for like a second longer, and I remember, oh yeah, these guys are like big, they're large, they're like, I don't know.
Big
Don't
dog.
show my feet. They're big fucking dogs.
And they look weird.
And they look strange. They can't blend in anywhere, not even in the environment that they are meant to live in. But then I also remembered that hyenas do this. A lot. All the time. They are loud as hell. So it's just not gonna work. And I'm so sad about it. Next. Another personal favorite, the Death's Head Hawkmoth. Just a funny little creature. Anyone who has been in an English class with someone who likes film, I'm sure has seen one of these motherfuckers, because the blonde, not Mormon boy sitting across from you will be talking about how Silence of the Lambs is such an interesting psychological thriller horror, and it really makes like the psychopath humanized, and like nobody cared, but everyone thought that the cover art was cool. That's a Death's Head Hawkmoth on the cover art. They literally got a little skull on their back. They're perfect in every way, and yes, they fly, but they're moths, so they're like a little bad at flying. Then I looked into what hawkmoths eat. Hawkmoths live exclusively off of honey and nectar. They are literally fruity. It just wouldn't work. Next, the black widow spider. So overdone. But I had to mention it because I know someone would bring it up. They are not aggressive at all. They're just polite little ladies. Also, the black widow spider only looks like this if they're female. You only ever see the females because the males are born, they get just old enough, they mate with the females, and then they get eaten. Once again, girl boss. They're like a Texan neighbor who owns a gun. Like, so long as you just don't go into their yard, they're not gonna shoot you. All it takes is just someone with like a particularly heavy shoe to just end it all. And they've got babies to protect, and I can respect that. They are single moms out there. Being a single mom is hard in this world. The next runner-up is the black mamba. The black mamba snake is, you know, very sleek, very chic, very cool. Incredibly poisonous. Very good in theory, because it's also a very fast snake. But it's very fast in its native environment of, I believe it was South America?
Australia.
India.
Australia.
It's Australia.
Not Australia.
Australia.
You didn't even know it was a snake. You do not know anything.
Yeah, wherever they're from, it's warm. So, good for reptiles. Y'all remember the reptile issue? The black mamba can't be a vampire because it just wouldn't fucking move. It would just lay there on its side. And the last on the honorable mentions, the fat-tailed scorpion and the Amazon giant centipede. The fat-tailed scorpion is the most poisonous scorpion, and also they're black. Thematically, very goth, very cool. And these guys are scary as shit to look at. I don't know if y'all have seen one of these guys, but they can get up to a foot long, and their bite is one of the most powerful and painful bites in the animal kingdom. These guys were almost perfect. The only problem is both of these guys move really slowly. These are big scorpions. They don't move that fast. They move like tarantula speed, which is not exactly great when you're trying to escape someone who wants you dead. And these fellas also move slowly and are bright red on either end, and all of their legs are traffic stop yellow. So they're not subtle in any environment. I had to say no to these two. Again, that brings us to our winner. I'd like to introduce y'all to possibly one of my least favorite insects that I am aware of. The brown recluse spider. It's brown, so not as goth as we can get. But it is a spider, and spiders have been used in gothic imagery for years and years and years, so I think we can skate by on that. These shits, I hate them. I just hate them. I know that it's wrong to hate spiders because, they do so much good. I just hate them, and I will say that. I don't hate many things. I'm not really capable of it. They are aggressive as hell. If anyone else has grown up near where there have been nests of these guys, I grew up in SoCal. The population that was there has since moved, so it's no longer there, but it used to be there. I grew up with these guys. They will run at you. They are this big. You know, they're just they're average spider sized. They will fucking run at you. But if they start running at you, you better fucking run away. They have one of, if not the, most lethal spider bites. If you get bitten by a brown recluse and you're not within 20 minutes of an ER that happens to have treatment for this, you are going to have permanent, horrible damage. Very bad. Very, very bad. These are perfect because I hate them. People are drawn to spiders because they are eerie and they are weird and they move very fast and they've got too many legs and too many eyes. It doesn't take a genius to recognize that human beings aren't exactly the best at, remembering that we are mortal and that we can take damage. So people will say shit like, ooh, Lady Dimitrescu, big mummy milkers, I wish I could live there. Or hey, why don't you go poke that brown spider and see what happens? See what happens. And the fact that both vampires and these spiders drink the liquids of their prey is a minor but very interesting connection. I think this is the perfect candidate. Maybe not the most gothic looking, but they are terrifying. All in all, bats are not scary. You should love them for the pest control heroes that they are. And yeah, the bats are a little stinky, so when you drive through the underpass, it smells like guano. But that is a small price to pay for having less possible chances of getting West Nile. And I'm not saying that all spiders are bad, because they are not. Lots of spiders are also good for pest control reasons and for environmental balance. I just don't like them. You should fear the brown recluse, because even if you have never seen one of these wants to kill you. And it will, just like a vampire.
Just thought of this. Hey, it's me, Ethan. I think the best possible bug for vampires, because they are, as we all know, Eastern European, Slavic, communist, all right? ants work in colonies. I'm thinking that the vampire should be the fire ant because they all work
I
together.
thought we just learned that wasps are communists.
When did we learn about wasps being communists? You
Also,
learned about
you're
wasps.
ignoring termites. And I...
Fuck termites.
So, one fucking ant is not a good option.
That's why they work in groups.
Yeah, but a vampire is one creature. So it would turn into
You think he's
one
going to turn into an
ant.
entire colony
I'm
of ants?
thinking Joseph Stalin could have been an ant. I mean a vampire, sorry. No.